Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Is it good? Yeah. In Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, you play as a Na'vi on Pandora who was taken away from their tribe by humans at a young age. Many years pass, but within the first 10 minutes of the game, you break out and you're ready to roam Pandora. Firstly, I have to mention just how good this game looks. It looks incredible. There's 3 main areas in the game, each are unique looking and great to explore, but the first area was my favourite as it's so similar to the first Avatar film. All the areas are full of wildlife and plants that you've seen in the films, especially those plants that retracted and went sump 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 when Jake Sully touched them. If you've never watched the Avatar films before, then you will not really miss anything, nor will you be spoiled, but there is a few handful of references to characters from the films. Traversing the world of Pandora takes a bit of getting used to, as it doesn't make it clear what you can and can't climb, but for the most part, there's no real limitations unless it's a straight vertical cliff, but once you get used to it, it feels amazing as it feels like you are 100% in control, unlike when you're climbing in the Assassin's Creed games. During the game you get a flying creature called an Ikran, like the ones that Jake Sully rides, but I still find myself preferring to roam around on foot, especially as there's so much to see and do in the world of Pandora. Things you can do include powering on research stations. These are simple enough, you get a hacking device, and admittedly, during the game it is overused. You have to guide a little node to the finish point on a maze. If you've ever done a maze on the back of a cereal box, you'll have no issues here. But you'll likely be very tired of doing these mazes after your 100th maze because it is so overused as a gameplay feature. You can take down RDA facilities that are polluting the local areas. Taking down these facilities will put the colour back into the area and make the world look nice. The game gives you quite a few weapons, from different bows to spears. There's even human weapons such as shotguns and assault rifles, but the game really wants you to play stealthily. All these weapons can be upgraded by either purchasing or finding them in the wild, but you can also craft them. If you want to make the best of the best, you'll need to craft them, but I had no issue finding high level weapons throughout the game, so I never crafted any. A big problem with this game is there's no real stealth mechanics, despite the game really wanting you to be stealthy. You can't lure enemies away, and the game can be very unforgiving. There was numerous times where I would take out an enemy, and unfortunately one person would see them drop, and then the whole base would turn around 180 degrees to look at and start shooting me, almost like my arrow gave them my exact coordinates as to where I was hiding. Once your cover is blown, it can be quite fun to go guns blazing. When your guns blazing, you'll need to keep running and ducking behind cover, as you can't stand out too long or you'll be torn to pieces. This game has Na'vi senses. With this, you can easily see enemies behind walls or objects. Looking at someone with your senses will also mark them. This is great for trying to take down enemies stealthily or trying to avoid them during a firefight. The main missions in this game nearly always consisted of running around by myself, while everyone else got to hang back at base. Even on missions where it was, "This is it boys, this is war," I was still running around by myself, with the only indication that there was a real big fight going on was explosions coming from outside of buildings I was in. This made the game feel quite dated, but I would say the last mission kinda makes up for it, even if, for some reason, they made the maze puzzles laughably easy. The story in this game is quite nonsensical at times and quite boring. The worst part for me was, well, don't worry, no spoilers, is there's a high stakes argument playing out. During the mission before, you had found out the truth, but instead of de-escalating things, you just stay there in silence, which made no sense, as your character does have a voice. For the first 10 hours, I played as a female Na'vi, but I switched to the male voice acting as I thought it was much better and sounded more like a Na'vi who had been raised by humans in an RDA facility. There's lots of side quests in this game, but after about 20 hours, I stopped doing them as nearly all of the side quests I played consisted of fetch quests with no real payoff. There was even a side quest where I had to recover a shell or horn, I can't really remember, that makes a unique sound. You get it and you give it to the quest giver and he decides, I'm going to give it a blow. Instead of animating him using the horn, the camera just turns slightly so you can't see him while he uses it. The worst part is, you can still control the camera. I moved it to the left and he's just stood there while the sound of the horn noise is being made. But this issue goes through the whole game. Nearly all the cutscenes, if you can call them that, are from your POV. Nothing ever feels special or well animated. It's just like talking to NPCs in Skyrim. The soundtrack is amazing in this game and sounds like it would fit perfectly into a James Cameron Avatar film. The sounds of the wildlife were also incredible and true to the film. Though I did have an issue with the sound in that everyone would just talk over each other at a very high volume. Often it would stop me from hearing the dialogue that I should be hearing. Also, you could be talking to someone and be like, "You're here, you're finally here, they said you were coming." End of conversation, "Are you new here? Like, we were just talking." That's Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, and I give it a 7 out of 10.